there's a good chance you're dealing with a middleman, like me, when you get your medicines. That's because PBMs and insurers are often the same company. We even own big chain pharmacies and are buying your doctor's office. We decide what medicines you can get, where you get them, and how much you pay. It's a win-win. For me.
When middlemen own it all, you lose. Visit phrma.org/middlemen to learn more. Paid for by Pharma.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Hey, I'm Candice Lim.
And I'm Kate Lindsay. And you're listening to ICYMI.
In case you missed it.
Slate's podcast about internet culture.
And Kate, let's pour one out for Skype.
R.I.P. to Skype. It shut down on Monday, May 5th after absolutely carrying my teenage years, only to go out of business in perhaps the most embarrassing way.
I know. I think the vibe shifted when everyone chose to use Zoom during the pandemic instead of Skype.
Which made no sense to me. We were all raised on Skype. I blame capitalism once again, that the video chat that was made for work meetings became more important than the video chat for having fun. Like, I still remember the Skype, like, beep, beep, boop, boop, boop sound that it does when you're getting a call. And now that's going to be something that, like, I hear in 30 years, and it'll be like, I used that platform once.
I know. It's our DVD.
Yes.
But speaking of having fun, what internet drama did you get into this weekend?
Okay, so my entire For You page is this caveman skin girl. Is this the case for you? Are you familiar?
I saw literally 1 second of this and I clicked out. I got scared. I got really, really, really scared.
Yeah, it's jarring to see all at once because the caveman method is ostensibly a way to do this like hard reset of your skin by doing nothing. So you don't wash it, you don't use any products, you don't even use water even in some cases. It was first popularized online last year, but it's having a resurgence thanks to a creator named Tia Zahir. She started popping up on people's feeds after she'd been doing the method for 7 weeks. And because of that, this like rash-like skin peeling situation developed all over her face, which she says is retention hyperkeratosis.
What you're seeing is dead skin that's gonna flake off eventually while like new healthy skin forms underneath. Like there's already some patches where you can see that new skin.
So this kind of reminds me of Scar Girl. Do you remember her? She was literally like a girl on TikTok with a large scar on her face that everyone loves to debate about.
Yeah, and that is actually an apt comparison because people are losing their minds a bit about this. Some people think this sort of skin on her face is fake. Other people think it's real, but that it needs medical attention. Like, this is not caveman method. This is bad. Like, they think it's maybe some sort of fungal infection.
Yeah, like even the cavemen are concerned. Even the cavemen are
like, oh no.
Yeah, they're going on WebMD being like, what is this? So what do we believe? What do we think is going on here?
So at first, I, along with a lot of other people, thought she was rage baiting, but I actually don't think so because she's just been posting and posting. And these videos are like of her with friends and family. And they're also videos of her attending like events and running marathons and being photographed looking like this in a way that like if you had control over your face looking like that, you wouldn't. This just would be a lot to do for a TikTok stunt. But I will say a different creator named Nikki Chan, she tried the caveman method last year for 30 days, which maybe was not long enough, but her skin did not look like this.
Yeah, this kind of feels like what Republicans would jokingly say liberal makeup is.
Yeah, it's just going so au naturel that you develop a fungus.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if anything, it could be one of those RFK gray areas that, you know, like maybe it's actually like maha to not wash your face.
He totally has been using caveman method. I can see it. And it's actually transferred to his vocal cords.
I was going to say, he's been using caveman method for his voice.
Exactly. Well, now that we've gotten on the topic of our current political hellscape, as we so often do, it feels like a good time for me to kick off the subject of today's episode, which is someone named Kate Mackz, Mackz. Have you heard of her?
I have not.
Okay, what about Carolyn Levitt?
Now, I have heard of. She is like the Gen Z White House press secretary.
Exactly. And Mackz is a running influencer who makes videos running with celebrities. The two of them made a video together. It ended up creating a huge controversy. But before I tell you all about what happened, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll break down Kate and Caroline's video and why fans are up in arms.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today? Smart choice. Progressive loves to help people make smart choices, and that's why they offer a tool called Auto Quote Explorer that allows you to compare your Progressive car insurance quote with rates from other companies, so you can save time on the research and can enjoy savings when you choose the best rate for you. Give it a try after this episode at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states and situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
This episode is brought to you by the ACLU. The Trump administration is pushing a dangerous and sweeping agenda to control our bodies, our families, and our lives. President Trump has signed far-reaching executive orders that target transgender people, their rights, and their health care. But the ACLU and their partners are in court fighting back. Meanwhile, the ACLU is also at the Supreme Court fighting for the future of transgender people's freedom and bodily autonomy for all. U.S. v. Skrmetti centers on a Tennessee law restricting healthcare access for trans youth. Tennessee has asked the Supreme Court to expand the ruling that overturned Roe v. Wade to allow it. The fights for abortion and trans healthcare are connected. Learn more at aclu.org/autonomy. Hey there. If you're a regular listener who enjoys ICYMI, it would mean the world if you gave us a 5-star rating or review on Apple or Spotify. Every episode of ICYMI is different, from learning about internet inside jokes to taking deep dives into the drama within online fandoms. Sometimes, though, that means our episodes can become part of those stories, resulting in negative reviews from people who aren't actually listeners. That's why it's so important for the real ICYMI heads to be represented in these ratings. If that's you, it would be great if you could show us some love. All right, back to the episode.
And we're back. So, last week, the press secretary went on a run with someone named Kate Mackz.
Yeah, and now that I've heard even just this little bit of context about Kate, I think I have come across her videos before. But, now I'm only hearing her name related to this controversy.
Yeah, and that's such a common thing, right? Where you'll only hear about an influencer once they do something bad. But don't worry, I did the work for us. Kate Mackz is a TikTok personality. She does a series called The Running Interview Show where she basically runs with people and asks them questions. I would say her videos remind me of Subway takes. Sometimes they're a little Casey Neistat vlog vibes because she too lives in New York. And she starts all of her videos by saying, "Hey, how many miles are you running today?"
Hey, how many miles are you running today?
Oh, sweetheart, I don't run.
If you run 2 miles with me, I'll get you any pair of sneakers.
How about we run around the block to my favorite pizza spot?
I'm down for that.
Okay, yeah, it's a very repeatable format, and she's bribing them with shoes. But she does that thing that is so common on TikTok, which is clearly fake, where she makes it seem like she just kind of randomly stumbled upon this person in the wild, and then they go on this run together.
Yeah.
Clearly the celebrity or influencer coordinated where they were going to meet. So it's somewhere on the spectrum of these videos, it's between Billy on the street and then those going up to people and asking how they met videos.
Exactly. And I'm not a runner, so to be honest, Kate, the runner, has never really been on my For You page until now. Same with you, I'm guessing?
So I've seen her sometimes as I'm learning more about her. It's oh, yeah, I remember the woman who bribes people with shoes.
Yeah.
But actually, the first time I really remember watching one of Kate's videos was actually when she ran with Tim Waltz.
Governor, how many miles are we running today?
Let's start with a mile and see what goes from there. Hey, everybody. Tim Waltz
who at the time was running, pun pun definitely on purpose, as Kamala Harris's VP. They ran in Central Park 15 days before the election, and to this day, it is her first pin video.
And now her caliber of guest is like Bobby Flay, Julianne Hough, Noah Beck, the big three. Now,
the big three, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yep. Now, Kate's doing something right, okay? Because she has more than 780,000 followers on TikTok right now. And I feel like it makes sense for a running person to be popular right now. You know, as they say, you know your friend is having a quarter-life crisis when they sign up for a marathon. We've all been there. And run clubs, they are a social atrocity, but a real thing. And I think she kind of falls into this category of fitness content where it's not like this person's clearly trying to sell you supplements or like Gymshark sets, you know. She's trying to influence you to move and get outside, which honestly is very Ty Haney, outdoor voices coded. And so I do get the appeal.
Yeah, and honestly, the same way it's fun to watch celebrities suffer through hot ones, it's kind of the same. It's like watching them suffer through a run.
Yes.
But I also wonder if part of her appeal is that her content and running in general is kind of this like very neutral breath of fresh air on the timeline. You know, a lot of your For You pages, if they're like mine, are politics related, or, you know, it's dating app offenses or the male loneliness epidemic. But running, there's this lightness and a briskness to her account that is easy to subscribe to. But all that being said, one of her latest videos has been a huge left, or should we say right, turn from all of those adjectives that I just said.
It's so right, it's left like a U-turn. I mean, look, on April 30th, Kate went on a run with Caroline Leavitt, who is currently the press secretary of the White House under the Trump administration. And there's a few things to parse through in this video, but you're popping in because you did your civic duty for the pod. You did the internet dive on Leavitt. Thank you so much. What is important to know about her before we get into this TikTok?
Yeah, I drew the short straw, but there are pretty much two things you must know about Caroline Leavitt.
Okay.
One, she is 27 years old. And two, on the sort of 0 to Republican makeup scale, she's at around a 6.
Wow, which is so generous, by the way. That is so generous and kind of you.
And Caroline has a pretty standard history in politics. She's a Republican and joined Trump's White House shortly after graduating in 2019, eventually becoming an assistant White House press secretary. But then during the Biden administration, she ran in the United States House of Representatives election for New Hampshire's 1st congressional district as a Republican. While she won the Republican primary, she was defeated by Democrat incumbent Chris Pappas.
And the loser to White House pipeline is strong.
Oh, my gosh. So true. So she went back to Trump. She was working for MAGA Inc., which is like a Trump super PAC, and then officially on Trump's campaign, which is how she ended up here as White House press secretary, as someone who stands in front of a room cheerily defending the horrors that are currently being carried out by this administration. But what's weird is if you go far enough back in her Instagram, as in like 2023, it's like a mix of like these, you know, TV talking heads and political posts, but then like bodysuit spawn con.
Okay.
There's just like one instance of this, but it's like, use my code for this company that is like, quote, pro-faith, pro-freedom, pro-American. So putting aside how ridiculous that is, it does also suggest she's pretty social media savvy.
Yeah, because everyone needs their pro-faith bodysuit, obviously.
Right. Obviously, your bodysuit must be under God.
Exactly. So we come to Kate running with Leavitt, and here's the first thing I notice in the video. No one is in running clothes. This is clearly coordinated. They're at the White House, but guess what? They're not running. They are walking.
Yeah, they're just like fast walking, which is like even more so how you know this is very much like a setup bit, because someone had to be like, I am in makeup and heels. I'm not running. But we can still do this press bit anyways.
Exactly. They're in a full beat. And I do think this was part of a bigger initiative Leavitt is running, where she's trying to bring more influencers, especially conservative influencers, not saying that Kate is one, into the White House.
Yeah, I don't know. That last point is pretty much what people are debating, because it's kind of ridiculous how favorable this video makes Leavitt and the White House seem. So to be asking this woman anything other than how do you sleep at night, let alone cheery questions like, is this a dream come true for you, while marveling over how beautiful the White House is? I mean, it straight up feels like propaganda.
Exactly. And I have two big moments that stood out to me from this video. First, Levitt is giving a tour of her office. Kate shakes hands with her staff, who, by the way, look very scared. They look so scared. But Levitt shows this meme that she has pinned on her wall. I'll let her explain the meme.
And then this is a meme that I love. It's a man pointing at a brain, and it says, "No thanks, I won't be needing that because I believe everything the legacy media shows." So look, we want critical thinking around here.
We want critical thinking around here, says the woman who earlier in the same video said she wants to, quote, bring more voices into the press briefing, as if she's not the same administration that banned the Associated Press from the White House press pool, but invited influencers to sit in those seats instead. Very interesting.
And then, so randomly, Jason Isaacs from the White Lotus appears in this video.
Hi, guys. Look who we ran into 1 week after hanging out with Patrick.
He was just standing there at the White House. He was there for the White House Correspondents' Dinner, but it was like, whoa.
Wait, that is so... I literally was like, there must be two Jason Isaacs, but why this messy Jason Isaacs? He's always at the scene of the crime.
Exactly. And then the video ends with them sitting down for like a 30-minute interview on Kate's podcast.
Which, not this podcast. Different Kate's podcast, which contains delightful segments like, quote, "How did President Trump inspire you?" And, quote, "How does it feel making history?" So really hard-hitting stuff that definitely wasn't from a list of pre-approved questions that had to be positive.
And I think this moment of Kate doing a video with Levitt is a very interesting fork in the road for Kate and her followers, because who do you walk out feeling most differently about? Because I think, unfortunately, this was probably a win for Levitt, because it's so obvious who she is and what she stands for that this collaboration was supposed to reach Kate's fans who, as a viewer, you would assume aren't voting for Trump, but you really don't know nowadays. And I think this was such a loss for Kate. You know, I'm looking at her comments on the TikTok video. It's things like, yeah, so this administration is attempting to defund public media. Giving their mouthpiece more of a platform is not it. Can't wait for the Putin video next. Not okay giving her more of a platform. This administration is horrendous to the American people. It goes on and on.
Yeah, and for people who like Caroline comes off looking fine in this. Like, on the surface, she is very nice and approachable, which is what makes this even more problematic, because she is upholding and promoting a very dangerous and cruel administration, and everyone gets away with it if we don't push back against this kind of "I'm so nice, I just love freedom" and America brand that they use to obscure those actions. Like, Kate could have decided not to do this.
Right.
I mean, as I said earlier, she probably had to agree to not do any meaningful pushback, because that is sometimes how Access interviews work. And that shows flimsy morals to me. I mean, congrats, you got your viral moment, but will you still have any fans?
Yeah. And here's the thing. If you're a Kate Mackz fan, I wonder if you saw this coming, because she's had controversial people in her videos before. She went on a run with Brian Johnson, the guy who's like trying to biohack his life so he can look like his son. She's had Dana Perino, she's a Fox News correspondent, on there before. Like, she's dipped some toes, if not a toe, into this lake before.
If not a foot.
Oh, that's right.
But, you know, Candice, I actually have a theory about this, because I think this was actually Kate trying to be apolitical. And I'll explain why after the break. When we come back, why this seems like an attempt to be apolitical, and how the best response to this came from Hope Waltz.
Every day, thousands of Comcast engineers and technologists, like Kunle, put people at the heart of everything they create.
In the average household, there are dozens of connected devices. Here in the Comcast family, we're building an integrated in-home Wi-Fi solution for millions of families like my own. It brings people together in meaningful ways.
Kunle and his team are building a Wi-Fi experience that connects 1 billion devices every year. Learn more about how Comcast is redefining the future of connectivity at comcastcorporation.com/Wi-Fi.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
Oh, ICYMI listeners, do I have a scoop for you. So what is it, you ask? It's that Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Now, before anyone goes suggesting that this is just a rumor, know that there's actual proof that this kettle of tea is not only piping hot, but 100% true. So, yeah, sometimes it pays to be a little nosy, but it always pays to discover. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report, learn more at discover.com/creditcard. And we're back. And before we go any further, let's hear from my White House Press Secretary, Hope Waltz.
I don't really understand how platforming an administration that cuts mental health services, cuts, funding and literal shipments to food banks is entirely hurting the climate, because you can get into running in the climate. That's a whole nother thing. But it's cutting, funds to climate initiatives and actively hurting the planet in that way. Sending people away without due process, villainizing minorities. All of those things are preventing people from getting into the running community, which is what I thought Kate's platform was for. But it's also just damaging to society as a whole. We should not be normalizing these people. I'm not going to tell anyone what to do with their page, but I think it's insulting to my dad to leave a certain video pinned, especially when he stands for quite literally the opposite of what this administration is doing. You don't get to both sides this. It's not both sides.
Yeah. And like she said, Hope is Tim Walz's daughter, and her whole video is basically being a running creator doesn't make you apolitical because everything is political, even running.
Yeah, and this is something a lot of influencers have had to grapple with after the election. You can't stay out of politics anymore because it is so wrapped up in everything, which it always was, but now the stakes are even higher.
Yeah, like if you're a parenting creator, are you a trad wife? Are you pro-life? Are you vaccinating your children? Do you think kids shouldn't read certain books? Those things are all a huge part of raising children, and they're also explicitly political, even if you think you're exempt because you just don't talk about it.
And that's, I think, the main takeaway from this instance. Like, I have no idea if Kate Mackz is MAGA or not, but I think in this sort of controversy, she was actually trying to be apolitical. She had interviewed Tim Waltz, who was the Democratic candidate for vice president, and so now she's interviewing someone from the Republican Party. But it'd be one thing if she had J.D. Vance on before the election. Then she would have had both VP candidates and could kind of claim that neutrality. But in 2025, now that we've seen what the administration is doing, that's like being like, okay, I interviewed the dinosaurs, but just to be equal, I'm going to go do a what's in my bag with the asteroid that's about to wipe them all out. It's like, no, stop the asteroid. Stop the asteroid.
It's like talking to round Earth and then flat Earth. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was a time when you could respect the authority of the president and the administration, even if you didn't agree with them politically. But to do that now means everything that's happened has not crossed a line for you.
Yeah, it means the deportations have not crossed a line for you, and the overreach has not crossed a line for you, or the decimation of the government and all these offices has not crossed a line for you. Wanting to turn the Gaza Strip into like a new Mar-a-Lago, that didn't cross a line for you. Plus this new thing about trying to encourage women to give birth to more children. I mean, we're at a point that to even neutrally accept these things as normal is to endorse them.
And we're seeing this with a lot of things. Most recently, Philadelphia Eagles visiting the White House. This is something that Super Bowl winners do every year, but obviously this year things are different. When the Eagles won during Trump's first term in 2018, the visit was ultimately canceled because too many players weren't going to go.
But then this time around, it does happen. And it's kind of another example of now that the culture has gone more conservative, people's morals, again, flimsy, but I should say Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Brandon Graham did not attend.
And again, standing next to Trump, smiling, holding a jersey that says Trump on it, that is not apolitical anymore.
And someone like Kate could say, and plenty of other creators do say this, that interviewing people you disagree with isn't platforming them. It's just journalism. But I want to play a clip of Louis Theroux talking about this concept in regards to the recent documentary that he made that's just come out called Settlers.
You know, in my work, there's always this balance between attempting to be a little bit of a fly on the wall, right? Not intervening, seeing how things are going to unfold, letting people feel they can express themselves unself-consciously, but at the same time challenging them enough to bring out the contradictions or the parts of it that I feel don't make sense, and also allowing the viewer to feel safe, like so that it's not a case of uncritically platforming highly divisive or questionable beliefs.
And obviously, there's a difference between Louis Theroux, a documentary filmmaker, and an influencer doing a press junket.
I mean, yes. Although I should say, Louis Theroux has been on Chicken Shop Date.
Oh, I remember.
So they have more in common than I would think.
Yes.
But the thing is, influencers should know that celebrities and politicians are turning to them because they are not journalists. They either won't be informed enough to push back, or they'll value the access too much to do anything that risks those relationships. And I understand most influencers did not get into the business to do investigative political journalism. There's a whole other career for that. But they are in the business of influence. This interview with Caroline will influence people, and Kate will have to own the fact that she is responsible for that. I mean, has Kate responded to any of this?
Well, weirdly, I am seeing some Reddit allegations that she uploaded and removed the video multiple times, presumably because it kept getting hate.
Which, by the way, is the exact same move I pulled when I was like 12 and I made music videos with my Sims and I'd upload them to this Sim-specific website. And people would rate the videos. And if anyone was rating them poorly, take it down, put it up again. Clean slate. That's what I recommend.
Exactly. And then most recently, Kate posted a video of herself running the Brooklyn Half Marathon. Doesn't address it at all, posting through it. But her comments are now filled with Republicans being like, "You earned a follow from me. I love liberal tears." Or "The right is coming to follow and show you support."
Okay, threatening.
Yeah.
I do wonder if she's looking at this new fan base she's getting and regretting this. But over on YouTube, I was looking at that podcast. She's liking comments from people praising the interview with Caroline and kind of ignoring the rest. So now I'm like, I don't know. Maybe this is a pivot that she's okay with.
I'm just glad to have another reason not to go on a run, honestly.
Okay, here's the thing. Unfortunately, I do actually like running.
Whoa. I thought we were going to stay apolitical here on this podcast.
Oh,
What's
gosh.
going on?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, that's the show. We'll be back in your feed on Saturday, so definitely subscribe. That way, you never miss an episode. Leave us a rating and a review in Apple or Spotify and tell your friends about us. You can follow us on Twitter at ICYMI_pod, and you can always drop us a note at ICYMI@slate.com.
ICYMI is produced by Vic Whitley-Berry, Candice Lim, and me, Kate Lindsay. Daisy Rosario is our senior supervising producer, and Hillary Fry is Slate's editor-in-chief. See you online.
Or running away from Caroline Levitt.